Today, I would like to provide the American people with an update on the White House transition and our policy plans for the first 100 days. Our transition team is working very smoothly, efficiently, and effectively. Truly great and talented men and women, patriots indeed, are being brought in, and many will soon be a part of our government, helping us to make America great again. My agenda will be based on a simple core principle: putting America first. Whether it's producing steel, building cars, or curing disease, I want the next generation of production and innovation to happen right here on our great homeland, America.
And my hope is that the president-elect coming in takes a similarly constructive approach, finding areas where we can cooperate with Russia, where our values and interests align, but that the president-elect also is willing to stand up to Russia where they are deviating from our values and international norms. I don't expect that the president-elect will follow exactly our blueprint or our approach, but my hope is that he does not simply take a realpolitik approach and suggest that, if we just cut some deals with Russia, even if it hurts people, or even if it violates international norms, or even if it leaves smaller countries vulnerable.
This is not a game anymore. We are witnessing the construction of a global government through chaos and destruction around the world. Someone behind the scenes wants to create so much chaos that martial law will be established globally, and the US presidential election cancelled. Global elites want to try to create a type of civil unrest in the US to bring the America to its knees, just as they are destabilizing Europe in order to usher in their global agenda. Militarized vehicles with the United Nations logo have been spotted recently throughout the United States, and we continue to see the military equipment moved across the United States, Europe, and Asia. The US military and National Guard reserves has been readied for some sort of action. We saw on the internet so many military convoys and military hardware movement inside the US. This might sound crazy, but there are many people who intuitively feel that something big is going to happen. Multiple civilian sightings of strange planes landing at American Air Force bases, all carrying UN troops and having UN markings, or non-markings at all. The next step of the Illuminati is to begin full-scale civil unrest that will lead to martial law inside the US and in Europe, which is needed to collapse the US dollar and to start a direct confrontation against Russia and China.
Chemical and biological operations are suspended at Fema's Center for Domestic Preparedness in Anniston, following the report we told you about on Friday that thousands of first responders were exposed to potentially fatal levels of ricin. Melanie Posey has the latest.
Out of an abundance of caution, FEMA says it will suspend all of its chemical and biological operations at the Center for Domestic Preparedness in Anniston through at least January of next year. This is due to the ongoing investigation into how the CDP ended up with shipments of a more toxic form of ricin than it thought it had received. Officials say the discrepancy was discovered in November of this year. However, it appears the more toxic form has been used since 2011. In that time, it's believed over 9,500 first responders from around the country may have been exposed to the ricin. First responders here in the Birmingham area who have attended classes at the CDP say this situation does not change their outlook on the professionalism or the safety of the center.
The unclassified information about the drill was causing widespread alarm nationwide, with many analysts suggesting that it may be some sort of exercise practicing to impose martial law on American citizens who fed dope with an out-of-control federal government. Local people had uncovered the information regarding the American and foreign troops training in Wyoming not far from the Colorado border. Those troops were training for urban warfare within the United States. The people who saw this training with their own eyes said that urban warfare is being currently practiced against the American people in a mock town in Wyoming at a military base. People who saw the training, they saw the use of armored vehicles, 50 caliber weapons, and non-combat troops that are being cross-trained for urban warfare. Since Trump is taking over the US presidential office very soon, will they take action to stop him? During the Fema and DHS exercises, special forces from various branches of the military will work with the local law enforcement in scenarios which are aimed at fighting against American civilians and states during a civil war or large-scale unrest. The federal government issued a response dismissing the concerns and saying that the training is to help the US forces to prepare for overseas missions. But not everyone is buying into that statement. Let's switch gears and look at the recent announcement about FEMA funding. The FEMA funding is intended to enhance preparedness and to build capacity for jurisdictions to address complex, coordinated potential attacks across America. The FY 2016 SHTF program provides funding to local, state, and territorial jurisdictions of various types, sizes, and capabilities to improve their ability to prepare for, prevent, and respond to complex, coordinated potential attacks in collaboration with the whole community. The possibility of a potential attack using biological or chemical weapons makes the focus of a 15-day NATO training exercise at Canada's largest training base, although people think that it is a low-risk threat. But the exercise, called Precise Response 2016 at Canadian Forces Base Suffield in southeastern Alberta, wasn't about high-tech military equipment or heavy armed soldiers. It was focused on chemical, biological, radiological, and explosive material. More than 350 chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear specialists from 10 NATO countries, including from Canada, the United States, Britain, France, and Germany, were testing their skills in a realistic environment. Nearly all of the participants were wearing some sort of biohazard suit during 3 simultaneous exercises set in the imaginary country of Kazakhstan. Teams investigated reports of suspicious activity and followed clues to chemical and biological weapons factories and eventually bring back material to mobile labs to check its content. Following the United States announcement for support, a set of principles that gives a green light for UN, United Nations military troops may soon officially be on the streets of the United States of America. Peacekeeping troops and police to use force to protect American citizens in armed conflicts. What armed conflicts are they talking about? US Ambassador Samantha Power told attendees at an important UN meeting that the United States was proud and humbled to be included in the new agenda and promised to follow by the 18 pledges. The arrival of the United Nations requires federalization of police in order to set a global standard of law of enforcement. More federalization of local police, collaborated with the arrival of the United Nations military, could mean big trouble for liberty and freedom in America. We saw so many videos on the internet documenting the slow-moving invasion of the United Nations military vehicles. The UN military vehicles have been spotted in multiple US cities. The white trucks equipped with large off-road tires were seen being transported inside the United States of America. Those white trucks appear to be pit bull SWAT truck models. This is not the first time American politicians have attempted to sell their citizens to the powers of the United Nations. The UN's first attempt to capture America was in 1951 under a top-secret program titled Operation Aggressor. UN peacekeepers from 29 countries are now required to act in cases where American people are in danger. The Pentagon has approved a scheme allowing UN peacekeeping troops to police the US citizens. The federal government has announced their support for a set of principles that allow UN troops to police and use force in order to protect US citizens in the event of an armed conflict. Just connect this bit of information with the dollar collapse and stock market crash. This is what the elite is preparing for. President Obama has signed an executive order that allows for the US military to use force against American citizens for the first time in our history. The order was signed on July 1st, 2016 and is titled Executive Order: United States Policy on Pre- and Post-Strike Measures to Address Civilian Casualties in US operations involving the use of force. The order, it looks like that the rules of engagement are for the military versus ordinary US citizens. People were demanding clarity from the United Nations on rules of engagement, namely under which circumstances the use of force is appropriate against the US citizens. The response was that the UN decides the rules of engagement. The UN will decide when force is appropriate, and the UN can target anyone they deem to be a threat. All this information comes from the UN's High Commissioner for Human Rights.